All right, good evening. My name is Daily Ayimibo, and we are on to another edition of Import Export Platform Facebook Live, brought to you by 3 Pace Trade Academy. We're going to start a new series this evening. Sorry, we are starting late. A new series this evening, and it's going to be described as Nigeria Export, Past, Present, and Future. Nigeria Export, Past, Present, and Future. I will be have to be working with two gadgets because of the data I'm trying to get. So you might see me checking, apart from using tablets, probably checking also the system just to get some of the information I need. Data I need to be able to get this done. This might also take us to maybe about five series, part 1 to 5. But let's see how it goes. Uhuanga Omokudu, thank you very much for joining. Good evening. All right, so let me just take a run through the data for 2018. Then we'll go back a little. Fumini Oyedeji Isaac, thank you very much for joining. Good evening. The quarterly report. Omokud is good evening. You wrote good morning. All right. The quarterly report of the MBS on foreign trade statistics, which was released this month, the month of March, revealed that the total export volume from Nigeria in the year 2018 was $62.23 billion. Addition Adiwale, thank you very much for joining. Good evening. $62.23 billion. $62.23 billion. Now, what does this mean? That the total export. Now, these are the recorded export. The facts are very obvious that there's so many informal exports happening. So that means Nigeria probably is doing up to 70 billion or probably more than that, especially to West and Central Africa, which are not being recorded because they are informal. But let's work with the formal. Now, the export of Nigeria in 2015 was $13.26 billion. In 2016, $27.79 billion. So we went down. Those are the impact of recession. In 2017, it was $44.31 billion. And in 2018, it was $62.23 billion. So I posted this recently, and trust Nigerian, people were excited. That's the APC and the Buhari fans were very much excited. And I said, look, for me, if the facts speak for itself, either you love or hate the government, what is important here is that this is the fact. That we went to recession in 2016, that export dip, but since 2016 up until now, export has been on the increase. What's interesting for me is the fact that despite the challenge in Apapa, export is on the increase. And that means that people have been able to significantly find solutions to those challenges, that despite that challenge, a lot of people are still able to export. Even non-oil. So when I'm talking about this, I'm not talking about only oil. Even non-oil is increasing. Non-oil is increasing. Now, we also see a trend on the import. The import was $21.82 billion in 2015. Then in 2016, it was $28.73 billion. Now, look at this. In 2016, Nigeria actually imported more than the export. View import like this. View import like a family. When you earn money, that is export. When you spend money, that is import. So when you earn money as a result of When you earn money as a result of your trade, you are earning, that's export. So export is earning money, import is spending money. So in 2016, we actually spend more than we earned. Nigeria actually spent more than it earned in 2016. Impact of recession. In 2017, it was a bit better. So we have now 44.31 billion exports and we have 31.16 billion import. In 2018, we have 42.9 billion import and 62.2 billion export. So what I notice here is the gap between import and export has been on the increase. In 2016, import from in Nigeria was more than export. And this is very important and significant because it also helps you to have an idea of what exactly, I'll be telling you what we import and what we export. And because that's where you should show interest, because that gives you an idea of the kind of product people are demanding from Nigeria, which you should give consideration if you are trying to go into that space. Because that's a kind of product that people are demanding from Nigeria. So you have 31.16 billion in export in 2017, in import, 2017. But export was 44.3. 44.3. So we have about 13 billion difference in 2017. But look at 2018. We have 62.2 and 42.9. Almost 20 billion difference. So that's why I'm saying that, look, take it or leave it. The administration have done well as far as this is concerned. Reasonably. We saw the impact of recession. We saw the overturning recession, spending more than you earn, but we saw it being reversed. And for me, it's not just this. Because when you look at it also, you will see subsequently, you will get to see, okay, I think it's even good I turn my this thing to see if you'll be able to appreciate this. I think this is good. So you can appreciate this better now. So you can see this trend of total export, trend of total import rather, and you can see it the way it's increasing. You can see the way it's increasing. That's trend of total import from 2015 to 2018. But if you check the import, and you can see the way it went down, you can see the way it went down, and then the way it went up eventually. And you can see the 62.2 here, and you can see the 42.2 there. So reasonably, we are not doing badly in this regard. And, I mean, if we are not doing badly, then who is to be commended? Of course, the government. So for me, there's no sentiment here. This government have contributed in this direction. I can't say more for that sector, but I can see this. For this to happen. Now, let's look at other data. This is the trend of Nigerian trade with India. Now, you need to understand what is happening so you can see the way our trade is with some major trading partners. If you look at the trend of export, you can see that export is increasing to India, and of course import is lower than from India. When you get to Chinese or China, you will see something entirely different with China. See the way of Netherlands. You can see export is still higher in Netherlands, courtesy cocoa, and import also is growing. Now look at, okay, no, I'll come back to this. There's another one I'm looking for. I'm looking for trade with United Kingdom, United States. Where is China? I need to show China. Look at China. Now you notice that export has been on the top for most ones. Look at it. Can you see China? We are not exporting to China at all. Very small, about 1 billion in 2018, 1.04 billion. But look at imports, 8.38 billion. As a matter of fact, if we imported goods worth 40 billion in 2018 and 8.33 is from China. So that means over 20% of our import is from China. I can see a concentration risk. I can see a concentration risk. The challenge of this for us is that if we continue on this trend, we're not going to help ourselves at all as a nation. Why? Because if anything happens with China, how do we handle it? How does Nigeria handle it? How does Nigeria handle issues with China? How does Nigeria handle issues with China? I mean issues having to do with the fact that, what's the name? We are unable to import what we could have imported simply because China is having problem. How are we going to handle it? Now, there was a time I wrote an article on this, and I don't know if anybody is thinking about this, but my opinion is, I don't think we should allow the risk to crystallize before something is done about it. But the way our country reason, more often than not, until that thing fall on us, then someone will begin to think about it and to do something about it, until the risk fall on us. I hope it does not happen. Because I can see a great concentration risk working with China. I can see a great concentration risk for Nigeria working with China. Importing from China rather. Let's look at the United States. United States. Look at trade with United States. Do you notice a trend in trade with United States? That trade with United States is declining. So you can see that exports to United States went very high in 2017, but started dropping, and the drop in 2018 is very significant. Anytime you see a serious movement in export in Nigeria, always think about oil, because oil is more than 90%. So anything that will make that significant change or difference must be export related. Anything that will make this kind of significant change must be export related. Why? We are mainly and predominantly a monocultural economy, having only one major item that gives us income. Which is why when the price is having issue, we'll be in trouble. We're always jittery. We're always afraid. Why? Because of the price. So you can see how the price went down. So obviously there's an issue with selling oil to the US. This is very obvious from here. There's an issue with selling oil to the US. So if this continue, and we're not able to get more people buying, and the price drop, and Nigeria that bombing starts, God forbid, then we might be waiting for another recession, because that was exactly what took Nigeria into recession in the first place. That was exactly what Nigeria. Now look at our import. Our import with US is growing steadily. From 2015 to 2016, there was a marginal increase in 2017, and this increase in 2018 is becoming more significant. Let's look at China. Okay, no, we've done China. Let's look at United Kingdom. We're looking at trade with other countries. Look at United Kingdom. You see that Nigerian export in United Kingdom is soaring, because United Kingdom also is buying oil from us. Nigerian trade with United Kingdom is soaring. Export is soaring. See the way it has gone. The 2017 and 2018 is amazing, the gap. From 1.2 to more than 100% increase with United Kingdom alone. And that's very good for us to increase trade relations with others on the export side. And you know what? Whereas with United States, export is declining, import is increasing. But with United Kingdom, export is increasing, import is declining. Import is declining. Okay, so now, having checked out okay, let me look at Netherlands. Netherlands seems to be consistent. Both are on the increase since 2017. Both are on the increase. Since 2018. In 2016 rather, export decline, import increase. In 2017, export increase, import decline. In 2018, import increase, export increase. It's interesting the kind of trade we're having in Netherlands. Very interesting. Now let's look at our top trading partner. We'll look at India. Okay, we'll look at China. Look at ECOWAS. It's interesting to know that trade with both ECOWAS and other parts of Africa is growing. By the way, this trade you are seeing with ECOWAS, 3.72 billion, constitute about more than 45% of ECOWAS trade. But that trade you are seeing is less than 7% of Nigerian export. After all, our export was what? 60 billion. So look at 4 billion now. 4 billion. 10% is 6 billion. 3% and 5% is 3 billion. So this is about 6-7%. About 6-7%. So what export Nigeria exports, which constitutes just about 6-7%, that export that constitutes about 6-7% for Nigeria is constituting 40-something% within ECOWAS, significant within ECOWAS. But when you compare what we do with other part of the rest of Africa, is still very low. 4.51 billion is still very low. Total trade, intra-African trade, is less than 20%. Intra-EU trade is about more than 60%. And EU contribute 33%. EU export more to itself than to other parts of the world. EU export more to itself than other parts of the world. And they control more than 30% of world trade in terms of export, and of course for Africa, very small, less than 3%. Okay, so let's now look at major traded products in 2018. The most traded non-oil product. Okay, before we go to non-oil, let's look at most top export product and then top import product. Top export product is petroleum, crude oil. Next to that is gas. Gas is about 9.1%. Crude is about 84.18%. And that constitutes about 94.8% or 94.9%. About 94.9% of the total export. Oil export. Crude and oil export. Look at non-oil. Cocoa, 0.79%. Other gaseous substances, 0.77%. Sesame seed, 0.67%. Urea, 0.44%. Propane, 0.21%. Electrical, 0.21%. Kerosene, 0.19%. Butane, 0.19%. Do you notice something? That the major item we are exporting are still oil-based. Even though they are not crude, they are still oil-based. So it's still within the same sector of the economy. They are still oil-based. Major item of export are still oil-based. But it's good that a number of them are value-added crude, but that makes a lot of sense. Ade Omole, thank you very much for joining. Good evening. So that makes a lot of sense. But let's look at now non-oil export. Can you see cocoa? Top 10 non-oil export. So if you are thinking of export, these are some of the things you want to consider. These are the most traded non-oil products in Nigeria. Cocoa, sesame seed, cashew nut, frozen shrimps, coconut, flowers, agro-food item, fruits, flour mills, and pellet of crustaceans. Flour, meal and pellet of crustaceans, and lastly, mixtures of spices. Spices is now doing so much. Spices is now doing so much. And that should be considered. Spices is doing so much. So much. So much. So let's go and look at the top import item in Nigeria. Remember, this is import-export platform, Facebook Live. Top import item in Nigeria. PMS, petroleum product, constituting about 15.5%. Gas oil, 4.96%. Used vehicles, 4.63%. Machinery, 2.94%. Wheat, 2.87%. Gas motorcycle, 2.41%. Gas turbine, 1.68%. Cane sugar for refinery, 1.45%. Kerosene, 0.64%. Machine or machine tool, 0.58%. These are the top Adewale Amole. Thank you very much for joining. Good evening. Top import item in Nigeria. Top import item in Nigeria. So we look at the top export item in Nigeria. We have looked at the top import item in Nigeria. Now we are looking at the top export destination. So we are looking for buyers that currently accept a lot of product from Nigeria. Who are they? Top on the list, China. China. Spain, $1.9 billion, 11%. France, 9.87%. Netherlands, 6.54%. France, 9.87%. Netherlands, 6.54%. South Africa, 6.77%. South Africa is one of our major trading partners right now. Netherlands, Indonesia, 5.15%. Brazil, 4.51%. United Kingdom, 4.29%. United States, 3.96%. Like I said, anywhere you see that we are doing large volume too, apart from other products we might be shipping there, be rest assured that the major item you are seeing going to that destination is oil. 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 Let's look at import. This is where I have issues. This is where I have issues. China, 21.12%. So my take is, if we are importing this much from China, then something is fundamentally wrong. This will not help us at all. This will increase the risk. If we have to deal with China constantly like this, it's not going to help us at all. We need to do something about this, and there must be a deliberate policy in that regard. A lot of things coming from China, but the day that country have any issue, we will be grossly affected. Some factory will not be able to function because the country is having a challenge. You must begin to think ahead and out of the box, so that if this happens, there will be a form of protection against the risk. If this happens, there is a form of cushion effect, so we can reduce significantly, such that at the end of the day we don't import too much from a particular country, and we can work out that over time. United States, 10.42%. That's another major place we import, but more often than not we import cars. Netherlands, 9.14%. India, 6.45%. Belgium, 5.5%. United Kingdom, 4.1%. Germany 3.41%, Italy 2.67%, France 2.51%, and Russia 2.41%. Now, what this is telling you is where we buy major product from. And this is telling you where we sell most of our product to. Where we sell most of our product to, and where we buy most of our product from. Where we sell most of our product to, and where we buy most of our product from. All right. So let's go to the main report of MBS. This MBS report. MBS is National Bureau of Statistics. The report that was recently released. And this report showed us how we have fared in 2018. And you can see that our Nigerian major export trading partners are India, export trading partners, India, Spain, France, South Africa, Netherlands, and import, China, United States, Netherlands, India, Belgium. You'll notice something in these two lists, that India, we do a lot with them in import, a lot with them in export. Netherlands, a lot on import, and a lot of export. Those are the two that are of interest to me because of the volume we are doing with them and the fact that it's mutually beneficial. China is the one I don't like because China will only import from them. They are not able to buy much from us. Major traded agricultural commodity were sesame seed, fermented cocoa, cocoa beans, cashew nuts are the major item of export. Now, major agro export. Yeah, major agro export. I have a challenge with that. Adewale Amole, thank you very much for your comment. You know, one of the reasons we are doing this is the more the information out there. You know, one of the people that normally join me on Facebook every day, Naemeka, is not joining this evening. He was in my office today to come and, he wants to start exporting palm oil, and we met online and he came to the office and I told him we do free mentoring for anybody that is exporting value-added product. And I was telling him that, look, how do we, if we don't make information available outside, making people have an idea of what we are doing, how are we going to be able to grow the sector? You understand? Now, if you look at this chart, this new chart before you, if you look at the chart, you will see this area, export, this is import. So last year, our export was 58% and our import was about 42% last year. Now, in this export, you can see it broken down into crude and non-crude. Now, I don't like this categorization because crude is 84, non-crude is 15. Anybody seeing this will think, oh, non-oil is increasing. No. Out of this non-crude, go and check it very well, you will see gas there. So as far as I'm concerned, anything oil and gas is still within the same sector. So we need to look beyond a particular sector. We need to look beyond a particular sector, which is what we did. If you look at the analysis, okay, let me show you the analysis that we did. Based on the same report, look at the analysis that we did. This is our own analysis. Can you see the increase in non-oil? So non-oil export has been on the increase. Non-oil export has been on the increase. Non-oil export has been on the increase. And this is important for us to know that non-oil export has been on the increase. By non-oil here, I'm looking at anything outside gas, petroleum product, crude, out of it. So you can see just about 62%. But if you go by what we have here, what you see here is actually showing 52. That is different. They are looking at crude separate and then other ones separate. And I'm saying no, we shouldn't do that. We should ensure that we separate all the petroleum products in one place so that we can know where we are. And then we have 6.2% as against the 15.8% that you can see in this on this side. But I must give it to the government of APC and Buhari. Like I said, I might not agree totally with most of the things they are doing, but on this one, I think something good is happening. What I'm hoping for is that it will be good for us to find a way to be able to sustain this tempo, so that if we increase 4.6% and we increase about almost 50% increase again to this point, and then if we sustain this with another 50% increase, then before you know it, we might get to 10% and then 15% and then 20%. By the time we hit 20%, then I know we are cruising. We are cruising. At that point, you can be sure that Nigeria will have been able to. I mean, we will a lot better than this, because that means there will be a lot of growth in the non-oil export space in Nigeria, which is very important, because the oil sector is not employing people at all, as much as other sectors that need to be considered. All right, so I will jump a couple of these reports. Those are not of interest to me. Or the quarter-on-quarter increase, I'm not really that's not of interest to me. I'm looking at major export trading partners in Q4. Okay, these are not of interest to me. Most of our import, I must say, are more of machinery, and that makes a lot of sense. Machinery. We import more machinery, followed by minerals, followed by chemicals. And that means we are actually producing, we are using them to produce. Make a lot of sense. So not consumable like beverages, tobacco, oil, and fat, but rather, or manufacture goods, but rather machinery, for me, is a good sign. It's a good sign that we probably are doing a lot better now. Who are the major import origin for regions that we import from as a nation? We majorly import from Asia, 42%, followed by Europe, 39%, followed by America, 14%, followed by Africa, 33.2%, then Oceania, where we have Australia, and that's 0.7%. 0.7%. 0.7%. All right. I will stop here today. And then tomorrow morning by 7 a.m., we are going to continue. Remember, we are discussing Nigeria export, past, present, and future. Past, present, and future. What have we done in the past? What did you do recently? And what are the implications of this for us in the future? So we will start from here tomorrow. I'm trying to ensure, okay, yes. Okay, total trade drop. Okay, Q3. I'm looking for an interesting place to start tomorrow. Okay, export by region, very good. Export by region, yes, this will be a good way to start tomorrow. All right, thank you very much for listening again this evening. My name remains Dele Ayimiba. This is Import Export Platform, Facebook Live, brought to you by 3D Material Academy. Thank you very much for listening. Have a great weekend, and see you tomorrow morning by 7 a.m. Bye for now.